And there we are. Hi, we're with Chris Sedonic today. And Chris, you went into the military in
1984. It
eh,
was a year after I graduated high school. Um, I came from a very deep rooted blue collar family, and they emphasized work more than they did education. So, my junior and senior year of high school, I was working almost full time. I had two different jobs. And then when I graduated, I thought, okay, I need to figure out something. Uh, and I found out very quickly that I was not a college student, and went back to work full time at the record store in the mall. And at that time, even though it was full time hours, it was at minimum wage with no benefits. And I knew my folks were not going to let me stay at the house forever, so I thought, okay, now I got to come up with a plan. One of my coworkers and good friends, her dad was a active duty reservist, and he was doing something in the recruitment office. I don't know if he was a station commander or what, but I had a lot of talks with him when I'd visit, at her house and stuff, and would ask questions, and then started asking more questions and more questions. And another coworker of mine she was very interested in joining the military, so I actually sent her to Carol's dad. I said, well, I don't know, who he can get you in touch with, but talk with him first. And then I started getting interested. And then she called me and she says, I'm going to the MEP station and I'm going to get all checked out and see what I can do, and I'll let you know. And I thought, wow, she's really doing this. So she had called me up and she said that she enlisted for air defense. They gave her a nice sign-on bonus, and I guess they encouraged her to get me to join under the buddy system where you could go to basic training and school together. And I thought, yeah, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. My family has Navy roots. My grandmother's brother, my grandfather, and my uncle were all in the Navy. So I didn't want to join the Navy. I just couldn't. I couldn't even see myself. Pun intended. In the Navy. So I thought, no, let me go talk to the MEP station and see, what this air defense is all about. And it was just as they were trying to integrate females into air defense, so it was a big thing to them. But they had absolutely no information when I got there. So after I get poked and prodded and looked up and down, inside and out, and go through the interrogation, they thought, okay, you're definitely a good candidate to join the military. So now you go into the office and they start showing you about all the jobs. And, he's zipping through a bunch because I'm a female. And, oh, you can't do that one. You can't do that one. Okay, well, look at this one while I try and find something. And they're actually showing me these serious G.I. Joe movies, rifles, tanks, and I'm like, I don't know about this. And I said, well, what about this air defense thing? And he's like, oh, yeah, a friend of yours was here the other day. He said, okay, yeah, let me show you. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. And then he finally gets to one, and there's actually a female soldier in this video, and she's sitting behind a computer, and there's these guys with these radars, and he's explaining to me that, they receive all the information on the enemy aircraft. And we get it, and we do the data, and we send it downrange to the unit so that they can fire on it. And I said, so I'll be doing that, computers? And he says, oh, yeah. And I thought, well, this is, the early 80s. This is the dawn of computers. Okay, I think I got a good argument to sell this to my family that I'm doing it, So I did. I enlisted under 16 X-ray for 4 years, got a nice sign-on bonus, and came home and told my family that I was going in the Army. I'm doing it, and they thought, they had no idea this is what I was thinking about. My grandmother was not happy about it, but eventually, I think she softened up. I was under the delayed entry program, so I had a couple of months to get all the wildness out of my system before, I'm out serving my country and being G.I. Jane. I did basic training, in Fort Dix, New Jersey, which actually was only a couple hours away from Allentown, Pennsylvania, you know, so this was nice. My family came to my graduation, including my grandmother. And now they're sending me to Fort Bliss for AIT, for Air Defense School. And being the only Dallas Cowboy fan in Pennsylvania at the time, I'm excited. I'm going to Texas. Until I landed in El Paso. As a 19-year-old kid, I thought I really landed in hell. What is this? But okay, doesn't matter. You know, I'm here. I made this decision. I'm going to be very, you know, good attitude, positive, whatever. And I start in processing to go to school, and I find out that my MOS didn't exist. It was anything in the 16 series for air defense that I could pick from, but being a female limited my choices to just a couple. And it turned out not to be anything with computers or radar screens. It was these ginormous missiles that I had to get this little makeshift forklift loader and load up these 3 missiles and take them to a launcher, set them up. We did crew drills to get the launcher set, and then we'd run up range to a junction box and turn everything on so that some officer in some box who had gotten information from the radar system where the enemy aircraft was and could push the button, and these things shot out. And I'm sitting at school going, what? No, I don't think this is what they told me I was going to do. And one of the cadre had noticed that I started losing my luster at school, and he pulled me aside and he said, you know, this may not have been what you thought was going to happen, but here you are. And if you do not do well in this class, then you could actually become needs of the Army, and they could put you somewhere worse than this. And I thought, there's something worse than this? Oh, okay. So, all right, so now I'm thinking, let's just get through school, and maybe, you know, I'll see something cool. They'll assign me some, you know, really cool Germany somewhere. I'll go somewhere, and okay, I got this. My first duty assignment was just across the way, right there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, and I thought, you know, my grandmother always said, God will get you. He's starting to get me for not enlisting in the Navy, maybe. But I got to go home and be a hometown recruiter, which I really enjoyed, because I didn't want new recruits coming into the Army and being fooled by the recruiters like I was. So I got to sit in on some of the meetings and with the prospects and their families to try and get them to the kids to enlist. And I just basically told them straight up, you know what you're doing, and you know, don't be fooled, and ask questions. You know, of course, the recruiters were very nice, and I didn't get to go to very many with them, but when I did, I was honest. You know, I figured that's what they were wanting me to do. And we had gotten some kids to enlist, and I thought that was a good deal. So now I go back to El Paso, Fort Bliss, night 1. I get there, I do some in-processing, they send me to my unit. And this whole time they were telling me, you know, after you finish basic training and AIT, you know, it's kind of like you live on your own, you'll have a little barracks room, kind of 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job, and then nights and weekends are yours. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be treated like an adult now, not as a recruit. Cool. So I get there. Like I said, this is, you know, they're just trying to get women into this job series. So I get to the unit. It was after dinner, and all of the command had already gone home. So the CQ, charge of quarters, gave me some linens and said, okay, bunks are in there. I'm like, bunks? No, where's my apartment? So I go in this hallway, and sure enough, it's an open bay. They had bunks that were separated by wall lockers, and I thought, okay. So apparently I had been lied to my entire military career of less than, a year, but I'm here. I'm just going to suck it up and do the best I can. So I found an open space and went, visited with some of the girls that were there, and there weren't very many. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, they came in and banged on the trash can lid and screaming, "Recall, recall, recall, grab your A and B bags, roll out, roll out." And I jumped up and I thought, what? Recall, A and B bags? Holy shit, my first day I'm going to war? What is happening? The girls are they're like, you got to sign in and grab your A and B bags. I was like, I don't even know what that is. And they said, your equipment. I said, yeah, I don't have any equipment. It's just me and my uniforms. And they said, oh, okay, don't worry about it. They'll take care of it, but we'll have formation. And we obviously didn't go to war. It was a field exercise, and this is what they did to prepare for field exercises and roll out to the field. The unit went to the field a lot, and it was hard. It was probably the toughest thing I ever did, mentally and physically. Being the only female downrange with a group of these guys, I had to pull my weight in order to get their respect. And the cable reels were like 150 pounds themselves. So, it was tough. It was dirty. But I did it. And because we went to the field so much, the unit was really tight. And I had a band of brothers because they were all my brothers. We looked out after each other, and I did 3 years. And now I'm coming up on getting out. I'm done. G.I. Jane, no more. I think I can handle classes now. So maybe that's what I should do. Because as much fun as I was having, this isn't working for me. And it was very difficult to get promoted as an NCO. They had a point system, and it was 1,000 points, but really it maxed at 998. So you got points for weapons qualification, PT, correspondent courses, civilian education. But at that time, civilian education wasn't online, it was in class. And because we went to the field a lot, I wasn't approved to go to classes at night and on the weekends. So I wasn't earning those points. So I was stagnant. And Christopher was born in El Paso, and there was some colonel, I wish I could remember what his name was, stationed at Fort Hood that wanted his own air defense unit. And somehow he got it. So they were supplementing Hawk and Patriot from Germany and Korea, Fort Lewis and Fort Bliss, and making a new battalion here at Fort Hood. And Chris's mom was one of the ones that was coming here to Fort Hood because her family lived in Stephenville. And I was going to get out and go to school, take care of Chris, whatever. But they force you to see the reenlistment and retention NCO. And I thought, well, I'll go, but I'm done. I'm done. And he says, no, if you're not going to stay in this, I can get you another job, but you have a choice of 2. And I said, see, this is why I want out. All the jobs that the Army has, I kind of got host on the first one because I didn't know what I was doing. But this time I know what I'm doing, and you're telling me there's only 2 jobs. So this is why I'm finished. He's like, no, listen to me. The first one is an MP. And I thought, no, I'm not going to be a cop. I don't want to do that. And he says, okay, how about air traffic controller? What? How did that happen? And if you remember back in, I think it was 80, 81, early 80s, when the air traffic control unit went on strike, it was PATCO.
Under President Reagan.
And Reagan said, not on my watch, and fired them all.
Yep.
Well, in order to keep the national airspace going, they had to have controllers. So they brought in a bunch from the military and quickly trained some civilians. Because air traffic control, I don't know if you know this, they're facility specific. So if you get hired at a facility, you train, and it's pretty intense. If it's a tower, it's up to 7 months. If it's radar, it's up to 2 years. But you train just on that facility and that airspace. So if Dallas is short a controller. They can't take one from Houston and start right away. You have to go through the whole training program. So it took them a couple of years for the civilian FAA controllers to get to where they were fully staffed. And like I said, they had pulled a bunch of military controllers out to supplement these empty spots, and they allowed them to get out of their contract and work as a civilian for the FAA, which was a no-brainer if you were a controller, because why not finish with the military, now work for the FAA, making a ton of money. So now the military branches were kind of short on controllers, so I caught the tail end of that. And my first question to them was, what's the cutoff score for E5? And it was, you could spit at the board members and make that. It was ridiculously low. So I talked to my family, and the advice was, they took you for a ride for 4 years. Now you take them for a ride. And I thought, that's true. This time I know, because there's no civilian Hawk missile people out there, right? So I thought, well, okay, this I will definitely have, a skill that will benefit me once I leave the military, and the chances of me getting promoted are pretty good. And can I go to Fort Hood, with my unit and with Christopher? And they said, yeah, just enlist for 6 years. Okay, let me think about this. Well, actually, it's not a bad deal, because I have to go to school, and that's 1 year under, and I only have 5 left, and that's 5 good years of, experience. I can do it. Sure, I did this. Surely I can do, 6 years as a controller. So I re-enlisted as a controller for 6 years. Went to Fort Rucker to get trained, and while I was there, my old job promotion points started going down, and the air traffic controller started going up, and I thought, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. And sure enough, after I graduated and became a qualified controller, and that was my MOS, primary MOS, it was 998, and I couldn't get promoted. And I thought, okay, well, it doesn't matter. I just got this job. I'm in it for another few years. Anything could happen and change. Came to Fort Hood and went straight to Robert Gray to work in their tower. At that time, both towers were military staffed, and just the radar, the approach control, was civilian. So just the towers were manned by military controllers, and it was a great 3 years. Got to work all that cool traffic, but again, couldn't go to school because now I'm on rotating shifts and can't get the points to get promoted. So I started getting nervous, because I have you have to get out after 8 years if you hadn't been promoted to an E5, and I'm coming up on 7. And I thought, really? Really? But then after Desert Shield and Desert Storm, I guess, my opinion, to pay for that war bill, President Bush decided to reduce the numbers in the armed forces, and was looking for a bunch of volunteers to get out so they could save money. And I thought, oh, wait. I can volunteer to get out and not get kicked out? Let me do that. So that was the end of 91, and I got out in 92, May of 92 on my birthday, so I would have 3 good years of experience as a controller, because with reduction in force also meant they weren't manning, the military wasn't manning the towers here on Fort Hood, and they got approval to start civilianizing. And I thought, well, I'm gonna catch the tail end of this one too. So I got out in 92 and came back in 94 as a civilian when they did their second round of hiring, and I have been there ever since.
So in some ways, you came back as a civilian doing the same job.
Came back as a civilian doing exactly the same job at a different facility, and still work for the Army. I just don't have to do all the soldiering that the Army makes the soldiers do. But no, we are still affiliated. We still go by all the Army rules and regulations and policies. And now I just train the soldiers that are coming in for their initial FA rating, and it's a lot better on the civilian side. It's going to be very interesting next year when I retire, because my entire adult life, since the age of 19, except for the 2 years that I was out, has been all Army. So I don't know how it's going to be next year when I retire and not have the Army affiliation, but it'll be interesting.
Now, you mentioned 3 really good years. As you look back on your military career, do you see high points that?
Yes, I mean, even as a Hawk missile crew member, even though it was a tough job, it was a way that I could prove to myself that, you know, 'cause I made this decision as a young 19-year-old Miss Know-It-All, and I really didn't know anything, but I was able to, you know, find myself and realize a lot about myself doing this. And, you know, just thinking, okay, this whole time I thought this is how the military was everywhere, so I can do it. So that I had some good points in that one. And as a controller, definitely there was a lot of high points. You know, just the job itself and the people that I met, you know, obviously helped me get to where I am now. Low points, there were a lot of low points. It was tough. I think I still have yucca plant scars on my backside from, you know, not having latrine facilities for females when we were downrange in the field. But you know, I was young. It was okay.
All right, now let me ask a completely out of the left field question.
Okay.
So the Bruce Willis movies that are always taking place in air traffic
Some
control.
of them, yes. We just laugh. You know, now the one really is Airplane, where they pull the lights. That one always cracks me up. So, yeah, no. But it's entertainment purposes, so, yeah.
I feel the same way about movies about priests. So
Yeah.
it's like priests who solve crimes. Don't they have a parish they have to look
Right,
out after?
right, yeah.
Yeah. As you look back now on your career, and especially seeing how you've ended up in what sounds like a pretty good place, if you saw a young person in your similar circumstances today, considering following a road somewhat like yours, what would you say to them?
I would definitely, of course, now I've actually been in this position with some people that I knew were thinking about it, and I said, if you're going to do it, really think about air traffic control and think about Air Force. Not to take away from the Army, but the Air Force air traffic controllers, they train them not just in the tower, but they train them on the radar facilities. And that's what you really need if you're going to go FAA. But if it is just, you know, somebody that's just interested in joining the military, I would definitely encourage them. But I would also advise them to get all the information that they need to make a better informed decision, and not just go along with, like what happened to me, with what the recruiter kind of said and kind of showed me. But, you know, take their time and really make a good informed decision, because it's a great opportunity. You know, I didn't get to see the world. I saw El Paso and Fort Hood, which was definitely a different part of the world from eastern Pennsylvania. But I had a lot of good experiences, and at the end of the day, a lot of opportunities that led me to where I am today. So I would definitely recommend it. What better job, you know, to get a skill and still, you know, serve your country at the same time. So it's a win-win.
And now let's bring God into the picture. As you look back, do you see times that when you think maybe God was watching out over you, or times that were really challenging for your faith?
I didn't have a very close relationship with God, but I definitely got a glimpse of his sense of humor through the process. When he got me a couple of times, especially my first night at the unit when I thought, really, the Russians are coming and I've got to go on day one. But no, really, you know, God knows the plan long before the rest of us do. And apparently he had a plan and I was not aware of it. I kind of found things as I went along, but I don't think, it just wasn't, if it wasn't God's assistance in putting me on the road and showing me the opportunities, I don't think I would be in this position where I am today. You know, yes, I was planning on getting out, and I had no intention of going to see the reenlistment or retention officer. If it wasn't for that requirement and really listening, then I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to reenlist as a controller. You know, he put me on that path to see that I could definitely come to Fort Hood because that's where Christopher was coming, and you know, here I am. Christopher's still in my life, grandma to his 2 babies, and if it wasn't for Christopher, then I would not have stayed in this area as a controller, which then I would not have met Anita and a relationship with her for 16 years and 5 grandkids. Oh, soon to be 6 grandkids. You know, so he had a plan for me.
Congratulations.
Thanks. He definitely had a plan for me, and it just took me a little while, and I just kind of followed. So his presence obviously has been with me this whole time, and he didn't send me to war with the Russians, so that was a good thing.
Well, as you know, a big part of the purpose of these interviews is merely to get some stories on record, to let other people know of your experiences, and to say on behalf of the congregation, thank you for your service. I know that's almost a cliche these days, but we wanted to let you know that we really do mean it and appreciate you giving your life.
You're welcome, and thank you. It is kind of weird and a cliche, because I'm used to saying it to soldiers, and I forget, well, I'm one of them too. You know, so when somebody says it to me, I'm like, well, I didn't do anything spectacular, but you're welcome. But thank you for doing this, and you are welcome. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support, not just for me, but for all of our troops.
Well, I want you to know that the rest of us really do look up at you and think of you as our American heroes.
Thanks.